Story 1. The military, with all its rules and regulations, will allow you to ruin your life and may punish you for it. On the other hand, a well-informed recruit can have an outstanding and successful career in the service and beyond. The choice is ultimately left to the individual, and those choices will be tested. Story 2. They don't tell you how funny boot camp actually is. The workouts can be intense, but some moments are downright hilarious. There was a guy who kept walking on the grass, so the drill sergeant told him to kiss the grass and apologize 100 times. After doing his push-ups and kissing the grass, he was instructed to mop the grass but couldn't step on it. So he had to sit inside the cleaning bucket and use the mop to move around. Story 3. Most of Navy boot camp involves standing in line or standing in formation. The routine goes as follows. Wake up. Stand in formation while waiting for the company commander to come out. March to the galley. Stand in formation while waiting to stand in line. Stand in line. Eat. Approximately 5 minutes. Return and stand in formation while waiting for the company commander to finish his meal. March to the scheduled activity for the morning. Stand in formation outside the activity until allowed to enter. Participate in the activity. Stand outside in formation while waiting for the company commander. March to the galley. Stand in formation to wait to stand in line. Stand in line. Eat. Stand in formation. March to the afternoon activity. Stand in formation. Participate in the activity. March to the galley. Stand in formation. Stand in line. Stand in formation. March back to the barracks. Stand in formation outside. Repeat this routine for approximately 9 weeks. Story 4. In the United States, it serves as a form of welfare for certain areas in modern times. I do not mean to diminish anyone who enlists, but due to its scale, it assists many individuals with few job opportunities by providing years of guaranteed housing and pay. My uncles certainly would have struggled without it as an option. Story 5. It's 70% janitorial duties, 25% physical training, and 5% unique experiences that no civilian will ever get to enjoy. Story 6. Everyone jokes about infidelity among military spouses, but military members are often just as unfaithful, if not more so. Story 7. Depending on the branch of service and the job you have, if you pay attention, you may find that they treat you better than many other jobs. Depending on the service branch and role, the tasks they ask you to perform are not that difficult. I served for over 20 years and was well taken care of. I didn't have to worry about going hungry, medical bills, tuition fees, being homeless, or having extra money for a decent life. Now that I am retired, I have a pension that cannot be taken away from me. My medical costs are still much lower, and I don't have to worry about getting help for my mental and medical issues. Even in retirement, I earn enough to be fed, not homeless, and have a reasonable standard of living. Story 8. Infantry veteran. Can be quite dull. Physical exhaustion, pain, and lack of sleep are not enjoyable experiences. Story 9. Making the transition to civilian life afterwards is hard. I enlisted at 20 and was out at 24. I went to college. I was 5 to 6 years older than most of my classmates, many of whom still lived at home and had never even had a job. I couldn't relate to any of them. They were all just kids to me, but it's more than that. For 4 years, I had someone else make all my decisions about food, clothes, and schedules for me. Now I had to manage all that myself. For 4 years, I had an easy answer to the question, what's next job-wise? And now I had to figure that out on my own. For 4 years, I was able to use gallows humor openly, but college kids largely don't get it or find it funny. Story 10. It won't take long to get used to all that money, so be very careful. The military will provide food, clothing, shelter, and free healthcare, but you need to manage all the money yourself. Save as much as you can. Story 11. That joining is very Faustian. You are promised many enticing benefits such as healthcare and education. While you may receive everything promised, it comes with the possibility that you may never actually get to enjoy them. Story 12. That a lot of it will be challenging, but a lot of it will be pretty amazing too. What recruiters do not make clear is that your experience in the military will depend on your personality. Recruiters focus on selling the best parts of military service, the benefits, job training, camaraderie, and adventure, but they often downplay or fail to mention the realities that can make or break your experience, depending on your personality and expectations. The challenges can be real. The military is full of bureaucracy, long hours, and physically and mentally exhausting tasks. You will be told when to wake up, what to wear, where to go, and how to behave. You may spend weeks or even months doing monotonous tasks, dealing with ineffective leadership, or waiting around for something to happen. If you struggle with rigid authority, a lack of personal freedom, or meaningless busywork, you may find the experience frustrating or even demoralizing. On the flip side, the military can offer an incredible journey as well. Unparalleled camaraderie, once-in-a-lifetime experiences, and a deep sense of purpose. If you thrive on structure, challenge, and being part of something bigger than yourself, it can be incredibly fulfilling. You will build lifelong friendships formed from shared hardship, travel to places you never imagined, and gain a level of discipline that most civilians never develop. It is extremely important to remember that your personality significantly influences your experience in the military. If you are independent and dislike being told what to do, you might struggle with the strict chain of command and the lack of personal autonomy. If you thrive under pressure and enjoy discipline, the military might be the best thing that ever happens to you. If you are adaptable and can laugh through hardships, you will probably find a way to make even the worst parts bearable. If you need constant stimulation, though, you might find the downtime between deployments unbearable, as well as some aspects of the deployment itself. If you dislike unpredictability, the constant changes in orders, schedules, and deployments may drive you to frustration. Another important reality is that recruiters will sell the idea that you will have control over your career, but the needs of the military come first. You might sign up thinking you will be working in cybersecurity and end up fixing vehicles in a remote location. Your first assignment could be a dream or a nightmare, and you have very little say in it. The military is not just a job. It's your entire life. It encompasses your job, housing, social life, and even your travel options, all of which are controlled by the military. Unlike a civilian job, you cannot simply quit if you dislike it. Your time is not always your own, and you may spend months away from family and friends. The transition to civilian life is often downplayed as well. The military can provide you with incredible skills and benefits, but it does not always make the transition easy. Some veterans struggle with finding purpose outside the military, mental health challenges, or coping with injuries. While the military can set you up for success, it can also leave lasting scars, and the military has a very high suicide rate. I come from a military family, and we have experienced loss. The bottom line is that the military is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It can be fantastic for some, just average for others, and a horrible experience for many. It can be the best decision of your life or the worst, depending on who you are, what you expect, and how well you adapt to its unique challenges. Story 13. It's honestly not that bad, but if you have soft skin, do not join. You will hate your life and be dreaming of that discharge document every night until then. Story 14. The U.S. military is in terrible shape. Originally, many service members get into decent physical condition, but the lifestyle is predominantly sedentary. The divorce rate is higher than the national average, and mental illness is also a significant concern. It is unclear why one would consider joining at this point. Recruitment is less evident at Ivy League colleges and private schools compared to inner-city schools and impoverished rural areas for a reason. Story 15. Well, back in the early 90s, I would have said, nobody says that the military has the best drugs, and you'll be given drugs handed out like they were candy by your superior officers. However, I was with my best friend when his older brother, a small-time drug dealer with long hair, a combination of stoner, hippie, and metalhead, had just come back from a meeting with a Marine recruiter. The recruiter convinced him to sign up by promising that the military had the best drugs in the world and that he'd basically be high 24/7. We tried to tell him that he had been lied to in order to get him to enlist on the spot. Nope, he was absolutely convinced he would be in recreational drug heaven. Fast forward several months to his first leave home. Yes, the recruiter had lied to him. There were no drugs. Unfortunately, they seemed to have completely brainwashed him. He had gone from a mostly laid-back stoner to someone intent on violence. Literally, all he would talk about was how to kill people and how to clear buildings. We could not get him to discuss anything else during the few days he was back. We'd be in groups of 4 or 5 friends, none of us interested in the topic of violence, and no matter the subject we were discussing, he'd jump in with his opinion and immediately segue back to all the different ways he could kill people. We ended up ditching him several times over those days because none of us could stand his new personality, which seemed laser-focused on violence. Story 16. There are 2 types of enlisted individuals. Those from disadvantaged backgrounds, many of whom are seeking to learn a trade, and those from middle-class backgrounds trying to secure funding for their college education because they lack better options. The number of individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds exceeds that of middle-class individuals. Story 17. I love how quickly and clearly they accommodate my needs. There is hardly any paperwork or waiting involved. Story 18. Never volunteer for tasks you may not want to do. No one gets rich being in the special forces. Being a chow runner is a good job in basic training. Basic training is not active service, so stay calm. It will end. Motrin is the only medication they will prescribe, so be resilient. Use your vacation days. Gather some friends and go somewhere. You don't always have to visit family. Story 19. Most of us could not wait to leave, but the benefits far outweigh the hardships. I was fortunate not to get caught engaging in foolish behavior, and that honorable discharge is invaluable. Just avoid getting caught in such situations. Story 20. It really depends on which military service and country. My father was a senior Air Force officer who received pilot training as well as a bachelor's and later a master's degree in electrical engineering. When applying for jobs after leaving the Air Force, he found that his extensive experience made him a very desirable candidate. I spent 5 years as an infantry officer and gained some valuable life skills that are still useful, but nothing compared to what my father received. Story 21. If you enter the service and learn as much as possible, work smart and hard, and always have a plan to exit after your next enlistment, it can change the trajectory of your entire bloodline. It is the greatest tool for socioeconomic mobility in the world if you take full advantage of it. Story 22. You will often hear people say that the military is the last option for those with no other choice, but that is not true based on statistics. Most members of the military come from middle-class neighborhoods. The middle 3 income quintiles are overrepresented among enlisted recruits, while the top and bottom quintiles are underrepresented. The idea that military recruiting preys on uneducated, poor, and minority communities is a stereotype from the Vietnam-era's anti-war movement. In reality, since the drawdown of the military in the post-Cold War era, the military has become much more selective in its recruiting standards. Military recruits, on average, come from the middle class, are more educated, in better health and fitness, and have more financially stable backgrounds than the general civilian population. Even during times when the military is struggling to meet recruiting goals, the issue is not that people overwhelmingly do not want to join. It is that they do not meet the standards. The vast majority of people who attempt to join the military are turned away due to not meeting educational requirements, having a criminal history, or failing physical and medical requirements. Less than 20% of the population meets the requirements to join. Many individuals look down on the military as beneath them, but in reality, it is a great opportunity for those who enlist. Most Americans have little to no understanding of the actual military, and their opinions are often shaped by what they see on television and in movies. If you asked people whether they would recommend starting a career that invests in on-the-job training and pays for advanced certification, offers 30 days of paid time off, a 401k match with an inflation-adjusted pension, tax breaks, a 4-year scholarship guarantee that is also transferable to family, tuition assistance, free medical care for them and their families, with optional low-cost medical insurance add-ons including dental, guaranteed promotion opportunities, cash bonus incentives, housing stipends, guaranteed home loan benefits, student loan forgiveness, subsidized childcare, 12 weeks of paternity leave, and 18 weeks of maternity leave, they would likely recommend signing up. The military provides many benefits that people often complain do not exist in America. Story 23. A lot of it seems pointless and repetitive until you need it. Plus, you share a journey with some amazing people and some challenging individuals too. Story 24. How much time I have spent learning about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as LGBTQ topics, in computer-based training. In reality, it has only been about an hour and a half over the last 8 years, and no one cares about your orientation. Story 25. I can tell you this. You can do pretty much anything you want as long as it's legal. The Air Force will give you plenty of time to yourself. You work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for most individuals. I was in K9 and worked from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. and from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 6 days on and 3 days off. No, you can't sign up for it, you must be selected. Anyway, your free time is yours to have fun or mess up and go to jail. My brother, while in the Army, robbed a taxi driver in Panama. He sat in Leavenworth Military Prison, and after several years, he got out with a dishonorable discharge. That will follow you forever. His excuse was that he got drunk. That's how you hurt yourself in the military that nobody told you about. As a police officer on Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, I lost count of how many Marines I arrested for drinking in public, drug use, and fighting. There were some Air Force personnel as well, but Marines just don't think once they start drinking. You do go to the base lockup, and you may receive an Article 15 or worse. You will jeopardize your career. Story 26. How they undermine independent thinking, breaking you and transforming you into something different. That is what I experienced. Story 27. Even in the most ethical military, there is a chance that you will be complicit in the murder of innocent people. Story 28. That it is actually the guaranteed way to live the American dream and should be something all 18-year-olds do after high school. Going to college at 22 for free while getting paid, with 4 years of military experience under your belt, is a much more rewarding experience than going at 18 and accumulating thousands of dollars in student debt. You will also receive a compensation check every month for the rest of your life if you file for it when you get out. It can range from $100 to $4,000 every month. It is a guaranteed source of income that is not taxed. 90% of people in the military do not see combat. It can be challenging, but it helps keep you in shape while you are in E4 or below. You will leave disciplined, and you will have a broader view of the world. You will have more job opportunities, career experience, and life experience than your peers. Story 29. Florby Mkforby Mkflupsinate Macacavilius Squancher Sauce. I have never heard anyone say that about joining the military. Story 30. Currently, no one is addressing the serious issues facing the military. For a long time, many military positions have been collaborating closely with civilian contractors. However, most of these contractors have now been terminated due to government policies or organizational changes. As a result, expect 16-hour workdays because the workforce has been significantly reduced. Story 31. Time and maturity get put on hold. It's an echo chamber of young people who tend to keep repeating the same behaviors. You leave and it feels like the world has moved on, and you have to catch up quickly. But it is about what you put into it. It's hard not to just go along with the group. Story 32. This is what they don't tell you. Every negative thing people have posted could have been avoided if they had joined the Coast Guard. Story 33. Apologies for ignoring your prompt, as is tradition, because someone actually said this to me, though nobody ever should. I just thought it would be relaxed and easygoing. Story 34. Paris Island sand fleas were more challenging than I expected. While standing in line waiting to enter the chow hall, I could hear guys blowing through the sides or front of their semi-closed lips, trying to shake off the biting sand fleas. A drill instructor caught one recruit slapping his face quickly to dislodge a sand flea. The drill instructor ordered him to get down, pick up the sand flea, and check for injuries, even making him give the sand flea CPR. The drill instructor then told him he had killed his favorite sand flea. I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. It was hilarious. Good times. Story 35. The divorce rate is high. It is clear that paying a 19-year-old more if they are married than if they are single encourages them to find someone to marry. often for financial reasons. Many individuals at that age may lack the experience to make informed decisions about marriage. To reduce the divorce rate in the military, consider paying all individuals the same, regardless of their marital status. Story 36. My friend was sexually abused by his peers overseas. If it happened to him, imagine what they do to women if they think they can get away with it. I am relieved I couldn't join after all. Story 37. It is fun. I worked in fast food for many years before enlisting, and I swear working at Taco Bell was more stressful than being deployed and standing watch. At least during these duties, we get to relax and pass the time while waiting. Story 38. For Norway, you have a high chance of being called for National Guard service once you finish, and you must serve until you are 44, 5 days a year. I was done with military duties when I was 20. At least it's for a good cause and I get to use firearms. Story 39. Military sign-up locations are similar to Spirit Halloween stores, but they only offer a very limited selection of costumes. Story 40. I have to follow unreasonable orders. Clearing leaves from a parade ground with a crowbar, due to the lack of other tools, was unwise. Story 41. Sometimes a specific task arises that involves a high degree of danger, with no chance for recognition or glory, no clear purpose or value, no compensation, and no volunteers. However, command needs someone, and they often assign the person they favor the least. Story 42. If you enlist, you will be required to salute and show respect to individuals who may be less intelligent than you, simply because they graduated from college before you did. Story 43. At its core, it is probably the easiest career you will ever have. You literally do exactly what you are told when you are told to do it, and you will succeed. They tell you to do a specific task, and as long as you complete it, you will excel. However, that task may be either really foolish or really dangerous. Story 44. Odds are you are never leaving your home country, let alone seeing action. It's just a lot of maintaining the ability to do interesting things, not actually doing interesting things. Story 45. Are there any books available on drill sergeant techniques? They would sell well. I mean, really, sweeping the sun off the sidewalk. That's funny. Story 46. If you join the military, you will have an unexpected experience with a giant turtle that has the face and voice of a well-known actor. Story 47. The suicides. I was 17, excited about my future. At 18, I tried to prevent my closest friends from taking their own lives, witnessing the blood of someone I cared about due to his own actions. I took my friend to the hospital after he attempted suicide by hanging, but the support failed him. At 19, I fought to keep another soldier awake while he was overdosing. None of this was what I expected or prepared for. I lost a friend for every year of service so far, and I hope it doesn't continue. I lost one of my drinking buddies because he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and none of us answered his call because we were too busy partying. The only advice I can offer as a non-combat veteran is that it's never your fault if someone decides to take their life. They have already made that decision, though I struggle with accepting it. Being a wide-eyed recruit, eager to make a difference, completely changes when you see your friends struggling. Now I'm just a depressed civilian, remembering what was missing, but what keeps me pushing forward is the idea that they are living through me. Story 48. The toll on your body and mind is significant. I met great people early in their careers and watched them become alcoholics because they couldn't handle the level of stress. I know many veterans, including myself, who have back, knee, and shoulder issues. I also know individuals who committed suicide during and after their service, and I personally know of one case where someone turned to drugs after their service and a few who did so during. Story 49. If you score high enough on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, your recruiter may alter your medical records to help you join. I scored a 99 in 45 minutes. They advocated for me, but an unknown heart arrhythmia disqualified me. I can jog for miles, but I have no sprinting ability and was never able to develop it. Story 50. Returning to civilian life is challenging because you no longer have a large group of people around you to connect with like during your deployments. Your coworkers may be in their 50s, and most of your friends may have moved on. It's not the same large group waiting to welcome you at your next destination. Story 51. An 80-year-old man is going to stare deeply before returning to a room of bare individuals. Story 52. More people unfortunately commit suicide in the military than die in combat. Story 53. Everything is difficult at the moment, but when you talk about it afterward, you only have good memories and laughter, at least in terms of training. Combat deployments are probably not viewed as fondly. Story 54. The people who make a career out of it should be those who love the military and those who cannot do anything else. If you are young and capable, complete your 4 years of service and accomplish as much education as possible. Use the post-9/11 GI Bill afterwards to obtain a master's degree from a top institution. You will be much better off than your peers who went straight to college and incurred debt. Assuming you are a high school student, you will only be a few years behind in terms of your life timeline. However, you will possess work and life experience, financial savings, no debt, a free education, and you will be a veteran for life. Story 55. How do you feel about an older man asking you to spread your cheeks and walk like a duck while he looks into your eyes? Story 56. It is a completely socialist institution. Funded by taxes, everyone has the same uniforms, and everyone gets paid the same according to rank, regardless of their actual job. Everyone receives the same housing or housing allowance. It is always amusing to me how active duty service members and veterans criticize socialist policies while benefiting from them. Story 57. Depending on your military occupational specialty and branch, a lifelong experience of chronic pain usually results from musculoskeletal injuries. After 18 years as an infantryman, then airborne with a stint in special forces, I ended up with 2 surgically repaired knees, a broken neck that cannot be fixed, and various other challenges. I am in my 40s and deal with pain every day. However, I retired and it was worth it. Additionally, my lifelong brothers and sisters, with whom I created so many memories, form an amazing fraternity of veterans that I am proud to be a part of, despite the chronic pain. Story 58. You will meet the most unexpected people. The United States military invests significant resources into the national and global economy. It is difficult to explain this experience unless you have served. The United States military provides employment opportunities for many individuals who might struggle to find jobs in other sectors. Story 59. Choose the right occupational specialty. Do not rely on the recruiter to place you in a position that does not translate well to the civilian sector after you leave. Conduct your own research before enlisting. Recruiters who recommend a dead-end military occupational specialty without being fully transparent about its future prospects should be reported or reassigned. It is a waste of years of a person's life. I have seen this happen to a friend's child who entered a military occupational specialty that was about to become obsolete. Imagine how ineffective that is in the civilian sector. Story 60. U.S. Marines, like other branches of the military, do not come out of boot camp with adequate hand-to-hand combat training. The Marine Corps martial arts program is often criticized and is primarily viewed as a tool for promotions. If you want to genuinely learn how to fight, consider training at a mixed martial arts, boxing, Muay Thai, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. I am in my late 30s and believe I could easily outperform my younger self who was on active duty in my early 20s. Story 61. Some people don't receive the good opportunities. Some only experience the negative aspects and miss out on the benefits. I'm one of them. After 6 years, I have not received anything I have requested or chosen. I can't wait to move on. Story 62. Enlisting for the last 20 years or so is the male equivalent of deciding to become a performer after high school. Story 63. You will need to harm individuals thousands of miles away whom you have never met for reasons you cannot question. If you are injured, you will likely be ignored. Story 64. This is a confusing question. Are you asking for anecdotes from people who are or were in the military? Or are you asking non-military individuals to make negative comments about those who join the military? Story 65. Haven for LGBTQ+ individuals. The Air Force is likely the best branch in terms of stability and job opportunities afterward. You face significant challenges when you leave. Story 66. You can join the United States military even if you are not a citizen, but you may be deported once you leave. There is a community of former United States military personnel in Mexico. Story 67. In order to make going to war psychologically acceptable, you will be fed some of the most outlandish propaganda about your enemy from your command, mainstream media, and social media. It comes at you from all angles, and you will ultimately be convinced they are the bad guys, so you don't feel too bad about your moral character while living out your military fantasy. It's all careful disinformation. Much of the information you will hear is unsubstantiated, coming from anonymous sources reported by intelligence, or from witnesses being promoted by questionable extremist groups and sent out on media tours to share their sob stories. You are there to make billionaires more money by taking lives in the pursuit of valuable resources and trade agreements. Nothing more, nothing less. But as long as it makes you feel justified in harming those whose homes you invaded, the Pentagon does not particularly care about being honest. Story 68. It's part of the scam. Low wages and few options. When you graduate high school, you are presented with 3 options: college, military, or low-wage labor. None of these benefits you right away. College leads to debt, military service takes time, and low-wage work offers minimal returns. We are cogs in the machine. For those who have served, I am not trying to offend. Thank you for your service. Story 69. Join young, get paid, experience stress, make mistakes, learn from mistakes, want to leave, stay in, want to leave, stay in, add more stress, want to leave, stay in, make more mistakes, then retire after 20 years, be broken, and the military acts as if it did nothing wrong. Rinse and repeat. Story 70. Many of your friends may not make it out. The suicide rate is extremely high right after basic training. My husband lost 2 friends during advanced individual training. Story 71. Many criminals join the military to escape legal troubles. I was in the Navy and knew a man who stabbed his girlfriend after discovering her in bed with another man. The judge offered him the choice of joining the military or going to prison. Story 72. If you have any other option available to you, take it. I am serious. The military should be your last resort to feed yourself. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.